Hi, everyone. This is Kim Smith, and I'm coming to you from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I am here interviewing Kelly McCausey today. She is a blogger and podcaster and has been running community groups for, about 15 years now. And she's going to talk to us today about creating your email list, why that's important for businesses. And so we're going to turn this over to her. Kelly, why don't we start out with the phrase, the list, the money is in the list. Can you explain what that means for those who don't understand that?
Yeah. So when it comes to building a business online, we have a few different playing fields. We have our website, we have social media, and we have our mailing list. And when it comes to building a relationship with customers and potential clients, we're usually connecting with them for the first time on social media or our website. Mm-hmm. And if they like what they see and experience, then they'll seek to stay in touch with you. So that's usually saying yes to a subscriber gift, like join my list and I'll send you this checklist, or join my list and I'll send you this quick training or information that would be really useful to you. Once they've said yes to that, it takes the relationship to a whole new level, because visiting your website, liking you on Facebook, following you on Pinterest or Instagram, those are all wonderful things, and they might engage with you there. But you're not in control of the point of contact, because those websites have their own mysterious algorithm that keeps your clients away from you more often than not. Yeah. So the sooner that you can get them to say yes to emails from you, now you're in the driver's seat. You're in charge of the point of contact. You can email them when you want to. And so long as they're checking their email and you're not going to spam, which is a whole nother little headache, but it lets you communicate directly with the person. And I asked a question in one of my communities this last week. The last time you bought something, the last time you said yes to an offer, was it on a website? Was it on social media? Or was it from an email? And they all said from an email. So that's why we say money is in the list, because it's a sign that the relationship is deeper and more established, and you're getting more of their dedicated attention. So they say yes.
Okay, that's a great answer. It's good to know. It's all about the relationship building.
Yeah.
So talking to our people who either don't have a list or are just starting to grow their list, what should our goals be when thinking about growing that email list?
That's a really good question, because I think we need to have intentions for our communities that we're building. So I'm a content marketer. We're all basically content marketers. We're creating content. We're offering it up to people to read. So my first intention is that they would read my content, enjoy it, want more of it, interact with it, and share it. And then ultimately say yes to related offers. So my intention, my goals, is to create a give and take relationship. And Kim, have you ever heard me talk about the concept of the change in your pocket?
I think I have, but why don't you go ahead and tell us about it for the people who haven't?
It's actually it's a relationship tool. So imagine you start your day, or let's imagine let's stick with a day. Let's imagine I start my relationship with my mailing list with $1 worth of change in my pocket. Mm-hmm. My goal is to keep about $1 worth of change in my pocket all the time. There's going to be some ebb and flow. So if I email you and ask you to read a blog post or listen to a podcast. I'm spending a quarter from the change in my pocket, and now I only have 75 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day I email you and I just give you a tip and ask nothing of you.
Mm-hmm.
I just earned back a quarter. I'm keeping the numbers round. If I send an email, so now I have $1 in my pocket again.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I send you another great tip, or say, I just found this great tutorial on YouTube. It's free. Check it out. It's so helpful. I'm giving. And so, I've got $1.25 in my pocket. So the next day I can email and say, I've just launched my new course. Here, read information about it and say yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very dedicated ask to spend money. So I've just spent 50 cents out of the change in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm back down to 75 cents. So if I do two big promotions in a row, like ask you to visit the sales page and buy and remind you about it the next day, I'm down to only a quarter in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I want to do next? I want to give again. So this isn't a perfect science, and it's and saying that you want to stay around $1 in your pocket is oversimplifying it. But you want to be in a give and take relationship. So give to your list and ask from your list, so that they're familiar with the fact that this is give and take.
Mm-hmm.
That she gives us great information and we come and like her Facebook page, and she gives us a great podcast and we leave a review.
Mm-hmm.
And she offers us a course, and because her free content has been so amazing, we're a yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
That give and take. I know there are some folks out there who teach that once you start blogging and start a mailing list, that you must only give and give and give for months on end to earn all this goodwill. And then someday you can ask them to spend money with you. Only that it creates when you do finally make the offer, more often than not, some people are like, oh yeah. But some people are like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't create give and take in any relationship, you create a one-sided relationship where one person is taking advantage of the other.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in a marriage, you want it to be a give and take. Just like in a friendship, you want it to be a give and take. With your community, design that give and take from the very beginning.
That's a really good answer. You want it to be a two-sided relationship, not just a one-sided thing. Well, that's great. Now, can you give us some of your best tips to help us start growing that list for those who haven't done it, or maybe it's going really slow for them? What suggestions might you have?
Yeah, well, so my brand is love people and make money, because I have found that when I sink my roots deep into a community of people I love, spend time with them, listen to what they're talking about, I can identify their problems, their angst and frustrations, and then I create content that speaks to those needs and offers them solutions. When I identify a subject that they resonate with, for example, for me, a topic that's been that comes up a lot over the years is that bright, shiny object syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
People say, how do you deal with that bright, shiny object syndrome? And I wrote a blog post about how I manage my bright, shiny object syndrome. And then I recorded a podcast about it. And then I recorded a video series about it. But then because the content was resonating and getting shared so much, I created an opt-in gift, a content upgrade, so to speak, where I created a little checklist And then I said, if you opt in, if you join my mailing list, I'm going to send you my checklist, and I'm going to send you a PDF and audio version of this content that you can listen to, on the fly. And hundreds and hundreds of people have opted in for that gift. So, offer them a gift that, we call it an opt-in gift, a subscriber gift. I call this one a content upgrade because the content actually already exists on my website for free. It's free and shareable.
Mm-hmm.
It exists on YouTube for free. But the checklist is what's only available to people who opt in. And then I throw in the text and audio version, included in that little zip file so that they can listen to it offline. That's a content upgrade. So think that if you're really new, then your first order of business is to find out what your community needs, what's keeping them up at night, what's frustrating them, and then start meeting those needs with your content. And then ask, once that content is proven to resonate, they're reading it, they're sharing it, they're commenting, then say, okay, what's the next thing? What would make it more useful? What would help them take action and get a quick result, and provide them with some kind of a gift that takes them to that next level, whether that's a little tutorial video or a checklist or a worksheet. It doesn't have to be a big thing. In fact, more and more these days, your opt-in gift should not be a big ebook. It should be something that they say, ooh, I could use that today. Like, I want that. That would help me. So they don't really want tons of extra information. They want something that helps them implement.
Okay, so I hear you saying that we don't want to overwhelm them, for one thing. We want to keep it simple, and we want to be a problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
We want to meet them where they're at, find out what their frustrations are, what the problems they're dealing with, and help them to come up with a solution for those problems.
Yes.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
The opt-in gift, the primary opt-in gift that I have on my website is a brandable content bundle, because I've been talking about PLR more and more lately. I've been kind of on a mission to speak about PLR as often as possible. And people say, well, what is PLR? And it's simple enough for me to answer that question. But then I say, I want to make it real for you. Here's a bundle. I've asked 8 of my friends who create great PLR to give me something for you for free. So I invite them to download the bundle that gets them on my mailing list. And it's literally just a PDF with links and coupon codes to go pick the free PLR they'd like to try. And that has been working like hotcakes.
Great.
Because it's kind of a choose your own adventure gift, because it's not just what I thought they should have it. They get to go pick what they want.
Okay. Now, Kelly, for those who are watching that don't know what PLR is, could you just give a brief description and then tell us the link that they could go to receive that?
You bet. So private label rights content is content that has been researched and written by someone else. And they sell you permission to edit and tweak and rebrand and use for your own purposes. So somebody might have created a report that teaches you how to get started driving traffic with Pinterest. That's not something that I have a personal expertise on. So I'm going to buy that report from a PLR seller. I'm going to add my own branding to it, my own links to it. And then I added that to my course that teaches people about getting started with their business. So I use PLR to fill gaps in knowledge, because we can't be an expert on everything. We just can't. So PLR is a huge time saver for me.
Great. And where can people download this opt-in offer that you talked about?
Well, you can go to lpamm.com. I'm sure Kim could give you an affiliate link for that. But you just go opt in and it'll send you the PDF, and then you can go say like, hey, I really want this self-help content, or I really want this food content. There's several different niches represented in the bundle.
Okay, and I'll be sure to include the link with the video. Okay, now, are there some effective ways that you found to grow your list quickly other than just the opt-in offer? Say someone really wants to jump at it real quick and get their list going quickly. Are there any fast tips to make it happen quickly?
Well, if you have some guts, there's a couple of ways that have been really good for me in growing my list in spurts. And that is to put together like a little telesummit.
Okay.
I just did one, in fact, in May. I did the Business Builders Bundle and Summit. I got some friends together to put some gifts in a kitty, and we gave it away. But I also interview like 8 different experts. And so to get the bundle of goodies and access to the interviews, folks had to opt in. And the reason this, you might think, well, that's just another freebie. But those 8 people that I interviewed all told other people about the summit. So instead of me being the only person, getting attention, there were 9 of us getting attention. So cooperate, put something together. And I know I've had a lot of conversations about this recently, Kim, because I do these kind of group projects quite a bit. I love them, but I love to shine a light on my community. So, but there are people who have said to me, well, Kelly, that works for you because you've got a big community of people to cooperate with. And I just want to cry, baloney. Because, yes, I do, but I didn't when I got started. Right. So I don't care if you are brand spanking new, just reach out to some people you admire and say, I want to put together a little mini summit for newbies. Could I interview you? Could I have 20 minutes of your time? And then, would you just share it on social media? People say yes all the time. A few people will say no. A few people will say, well, who are you? That's okay. It's, not everybody. Some people just, aren't that adventurous, but many are. So even if you reach out and get a yes from 5 other newbies just like you, there's 5 times the reach. And do not despise those new beginnings, those newbie people, because I was one. I started my podcast, a nobody from nowhere, and it changed my life just by reaching out and asking.
Yeah, so, that's a great point. We all have to start somewhere, right?
Yep. Yeah, just find a few people to cooperate, put something together. You're doing all the work, you're doing the hosting, so you're the one growing the list, and bonus points if the people you interview have affiliate programs.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now what are some mistakes that we can avoid that you've either gone through yourself or maybe you've seen happen over the years with people growing their lists?
So, the first one I would mention is what I talked about earlier, not asking for something in return. As soon as possible. Even with your welcome email, ask people to reply and tell you something about themselves. Okay. And it'll surprise people, and they'll feel suspicious, like she doesn't really want to hear from me. So, but I do that with my email when I say, please reply and introduce yourself to me. Very few people actually do it to that first email. Because they are like, nah, she doesn't mean that. But a few people do. Like, I get an email from a guy who says, yeah, I know you probably won't read this. This is going to your help desk, right? But hi, I'm Bob. and then it always shocks them when I respond and say, hi, Bob, because I am reading them. But community is important to me. So invite them to reply, invite them to take actions so that you're creating that give and take relationship right up front. A big mistake is not emailing frequently enough.
Oh, how often should we email?
I think it depends a lot on your business model. But I email almost every day. And because I'm holding myself out there as a community leader, as a direction giver, as a resource sharer, my people tolerate a daily email from me. Unless they don't. I mean, I do get unsubscribes, some new subscribers who say, no, not that. And that's okay. But I think about I bought a new necklace. I've worn a necklace that says love for about a year now. One of them my grandbaby broke and I had to replace it. And one of them I just gave away because I felt this prompting from God to give it to a lady. And so I just got another new one. So I buy this from a gal on Etsy. And do you know what? She never emails me. Ever. Wow. Ever. And I just think it's such a bummer because I love this necklace. It's just a stainless steel necklace. So, I mean, I can wear it in the shower. I don't have to worry about anything. It's inexpensive. This was on sale. It was only like $13. If she would email me, I would say from her being a product seller, I would like to hear from her at least once a month, preferably more often. I would tolerate emails from her like once a week. If she just wanted to shoot an email and say, here's the favorite necklace I made today or this week, or if she featured a little customer story about why did you order a personalized necklace, I would tolerate it from her weekly. And I would probably buy more necklaces from her. Because now that I've given one, I spontaneously gave one away. I'm like, oh gosh, I wonder how long I'll get to keep this one because I feel like I'm going to get more prompts about it. So a product seller at the minimum monthly, nudge people and tell them about your products again. Consider bi-weekly or weekly. It's great if you use a tool that lets you offer people a choice. Some tools let you, some tools don't, as far as email marketing management. But if I'll tell you, Costco emails me every single day. In fact, I just finally cried wolf and switched them to a weekly email because I do want to know if they've got something awesome on sale, but I don't need to hear about it every day. Amazon, I turned off their emails because I visit their website all the time anyways, but they email every single day. Frequency, I would say most people should just aim for weekly at a minimum. And then brainstorm, how could I be more useful? I think most content creators, if you're building an authority-based business where you're setting yourself up as an expert to be resourceful and love on a community, I would aim for at least 3 times a week. If you have a rhythm of what's really helpful, like you're publishing a new podcast on Monday and you're telling them about the latest blog post on Wednesday and Friday, sharing a couple of quick tips, that's useful. That's not going to overwhelm anybody. And you'll find out what your community will tolerate. But so a mistake is not mailing frequently enough. And then the follow-up mistake to that would be to respond to that whiner, that one whiner who complains about it. So if you haven't been emailing very often, first thing I would do is email your list and tell them, oops, my bad. I haven't been staying in touch with you as much as I want to. So I'm going to start emailing you a couple of times a week. And then proceed to give them great value. Some knucklehead will reply and say, I don't want to hear from you that often. That's one knucklehead. and he can use the unsubscribe button. Don't say, oh, my people don't like me. It's just one knucklehead. Ignore him.
Yeah. Now, I know you've been doing this for quite a while. If I can ask, how many subscribers do you have on your list, and how long did it take you to get there?
So, my primary mailing list right now is just under 3,700.
Okay.
That is, it's a customer list. So I've had a mailing list since 2004, and I used Aweber to run my mailing list up until just this last year. I switched over to Drip. But my customers were stored in my A-member system, my shopping cart. So because I had my customers in A-member, I cleaned out my Aweber leads list every 6 months or so. If you didn't open or click a link, I just deleted you. I've always done that for all these years. So if I hadn't done that, and some people never do that, and then they say, oh, I've got 10,000 people on my list, or I've got 15,000 people on my list, but they've got like a 2% open rate because there's all these people that are ignoring their emails or don't even check that email address anymore, etc. So I've always cleaned my leads list, and I focus on what I care about are how many people have spent money with me. So, almost 3,700 people over the course of this installation of A-member have spent money with me. So unless they ask me to take them off my list by unsubscribing, that I'm not removing them. So it's fun. I'm glad you asked how many people are on my list, because I think some folks make up that successful marketers have giant mailing lists. And I don't. I never have had a giant mailing list. It's more important that you have a responsive list. So a better question might be, what's your open rate?
Okay, tell us that.
So between 15 and 25%.
Now that's really good. I know I've researched like direct mail marketing, and to get a 5% open rate or a response rate from a direct mail piece would be incredible.
Yeah. So this is an open rate, not a response rate.
That's true.
Like taking action. But it depends on what's going on, the time of the month, and what I'm emailing about. But for the most part, it hovers between 15 and 25%. Like I was doing a big, when I was doing that Business Builders Bundle and Summit, I set up a separate campaign for just people who said yes to that. Well, then that had a 65% open rate. Not surprising, because they just said yes, and I'm sending the resources over the next 5 days. So of course it's going to get a big open rate. But the everyday people on my list, 15 to 25% will actually open an email. And I remember when it was 30% consistently back in the day. So it's a little like, ugh, I wish it were a little higher. But then I was chatting with some other marketers once, and I realized, wow, mine is pretty good, because some people are saying that they have 10% and less open rate.
Yeah. 25% is actually really good, I think. Now, can you just briefly touch on how important is it to segment your list?
Oh, it's really important. There's the topic of segmenting a list has been around for quite a while. That is the idea that like I have one primary opt-in gift that puts you on my mailing list, but then I have specific gifts, like PLR Hoarders webinar that you can opt in for, that puts you into a very specific campaign all about PLR. So I've segmented people based on their interest in PLR. And so, like, if you use a resource like MailChimp or Aweber, you have been creating different lists based on different interests. So, but email marketing has blossomed in the last few years to where it is still about segmenting a list, but we manage it a little differently. So the reason I moved over to Drip is that Aweber, while they're working on upping their email automation, they're not quite there yet. With Drip, instead of putting people onto different mailing lists, there's just one list of subscribers, but they're subscribed to individual campaigns, and they're tagged based on how they got on the list and what they've done since they got there.
Okay.
So I can actually look in my Drip, find Kim Smith. I can see where she originally subscribed or where I imported her last year, whichever came first. I can see where if you've opted into any other campaigns, like if you said yes to the Business Builders Summit, I would know that. If you said yes to the PLR Hoarders webinar, I would know that. There'd be tags on you that tell me about that interest. And it also tracks it also recognizes if you've clicked through to my website, if you've purchased something. All those things are being fed into Drip and integrated. So in one place I can say, so here's Kim. She's a subscriber with interest in PLR, and she's bought this product. I don't have the ability to send dollar amounts to Drip from the tool I use for my shopping cart, but someday I will, and then I'll be able to see she's spent this much. So now I'm not just segmenting based on an opt-in. I'm segmenting based on behavior, because then I can create little triggers that say, when Kim does this, send her over to this campaign. So putting this, I don't know what you're using for your mailing list these days, Kim, but
Active Campaign.
So you can do all these things. You can tag and you can send them emails based on behaviors. So if somebody opts in for a gift, let's say somebody opts in and claims that, a discovery call with you. And then, so you send them a proposal and they haven't acted on it yet. Maybe they didn't say yes right away to the proposal. They said, I'm going to think about it. Well, you can certainly plug in follow-ups, right? I mean, but you could also say, hey, if this person visits my website again, tag them and send them this email to say, hey, I noticed you just, are you back? Are you interested in, do you want to have another quick chat about how I can be of service to you? Do you want me to resend you my proposal? There's just so many automation possibilities. And I'm not taking advantage of all of them yet because it takes time to think all those things through. So, but at the very least, segment, at the very least, tag people. I'm trying to think of an example of how I've used tagging recently to really zone in on something. Does Active Campaign keep a lead score?
I just started using it, so I'm not extremely familiar with it yet. I think they do.
So when you opt in for a gift on my website, and you are automatically given a lead score of 30. When you open and click on an email, it adds 3 points. When you visit my website, it adds 3 points. So as you're active and interacting with me, your lead score rises. And so then I can send an email that triggers when you hit, say, 70.
Mm-hmm.
I can trigger an email that says, you are one of my most engaged community members.
Okay.
Why is that? I want to know more about you. Would you be interested in letting me, would you be interested in filling out a survey to tell me more about you? If our interests mesh well, I might like to feature you. Mm-hmm. I love that idea because I so value engagement. Mm-hmm. I want to know who those people are.
Right.
Anyways, that the whole email marketing automation, tracking and tagging is just fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many possibilities.
Definitely, the statistics and everything, it's very valuable in marketing efforts. So, well, Kelly, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me today, and I'm sure the people that are going to be watching this video are just really going to get a lot of value out of it, as I've always gotten value out of your teaching and followed you for years, and you've been an inspiration. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
The first time I went to a live event, it was with you. We road tripped down to Atlanta, and I know I'm going to see you again in Atlanta next month. So,
yep, and that's going to be fun. Actually, there was one before that. Remember when we went to Lansing and had that mom's meetup?
Yeah.
I think that was the first one. But yeah, we road trip to Atlanta and we went to Toronto and yeah.
Oh, those were the days.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. You have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.